I only got one thing to say. Did you miss me?
If I was a free agent and I played for the Lakers, I'm going to the playoffs. I'm going to the Western Conference Finals.
So you believe if you were a member of the Lakers, they'd go to the Western Conference Finals? As presently constructed? Or with the team as presently constructed? Or would somebody have to go?
No, nobody goes. Exact same team. Western Conference Finals. And no discredit to LeBron James, but he's doing so much. Who's the leader? They had success because there was a leader there. Rondo was there. At the time, he was the leader. Who's the leader? Who's telling LeBron, hey, LeBron, you got to be low man, bro. That ain't your help out. You got to X out. No one's telling them that. Not on a consistent basis.
And Patrick Beverly's going to tell him that?
I'm going to tell everyone that.
Okay.
Because I want to win.
Talk about it.
You are now tuned in to Above the Rim.
Hoops talk for the street. Family, what's good? Welcome back to another edition of Above the Rim. Hoops talk for the street. You already know how we do, family. Brought to you as always. It's your host, Justin, aka JusBlaze. Family, you know the drill. To get in contact with me, you can always hit me up and follow me on Twitter at JusBlaze_513, on IG at JusBlaze513, and on Facebook, search Above the Rim Podcast. Email the show as well at Above the Rim NBA Podcast at gmail.com. Tap in and leave the family a voicemail. The line is always open, 908-718-1592. Make sure y'all calling in leading up to the season with your hot takes, your predictions, whatever you got going on for the season. Make sure you can do that too. Support the show as always. You can do so by copping your merch. Link is in my bio. Very easy to find, family. Leave your boy a review on iTunes and Spotify. Those are always appreciated. It's love. Please go on iTunes. Write your boy a 5-star review. Spotify as well. All of that good stuff. Check out the YouTube page as well for the visuals. Like I said, link is in my bio. Very easy to find everything. Let's get it rocking, man. Solo episode on the comeback trail, family. I had to get back in the booth. Been gone for a little minute now. I know y'all miss me in these streets, man, but I'm here. I know some of the NBA content out here has been lacking a little bit. You know, it's been a little bit of a slow summer, a slow NBA summer too. But we here, man. It was a handful of bold face, I would say, off-season moves. Some good, some bad. And let's get right into it, man, because we got to talk about free agency, or should I say flea agency. That's what I've been calling it. It's flea agency going on right now, man. So let's get right into it. A couple of quick topics before we get into this free agency moves. This happened a little while ago, but still, rest in peace to Bill Russell. You know, first and foremost, rest in paradise to one of the greatest players and one of the great pioneers of this game of basketball. The man with the most championships in NBA history. So let's have a moment of silence. You know, rest in paradise for Bill Russell. Also free Brittany Griner as well. It's been way too long. Let's keep her in our thoughts and our prayers. Make sure she gets home soon. And on a lighter note also as well, this summer, some lighter news. We also got Jimmy Butler's faux locks debuting this summer, family. I don't know, family. I don't know what GTA barbershop he went to get those locks done. But you know what? I'm not mad at it, Jimmy. If it's going to help you ball out, it's going to get Miami to the next round, I'm not mad at it, my brother. So, but they're interesting. I'll say that. Flea agency. Let's get right into it, man. Let's talk about some of the deals that already got done. First up on my list, talking about the deals this summer, Danilo Gallinari, Malcolm Brogdon, both going to the Boston Celtics. I got to give these guys a hand clap, the Boston Celtics. What a monster offseason for the Celtics on the lowest of keys, coming off a NBA Finals appearance. They got better all around. Now, we're looking at Gallo right now. We're looking at Malcolm Brogdon, two quality rotational pieces that the team needs. Last year, we saw Gallo gave you 11-4 and 24 minutes off the bench. Brogdon gave you 19, 5-5, and only 36 games played last season. He had a little bit of a injury-riddled kind of year, but he's kind of bouncing back this season. So I'm looking forward to a lot from Gallinari and also a lot from Malcolm Brogdon as well. Now we saw what happened in I don't know what league. I don't know if it's FIBA or the EuroLeague was going on, but Danilo Gallinari just now, he just tore his, I don't know if he tore his meniscus, but he definitely hurt his meniscus. So he's probably going to be out to start the season going on in Boston, but they don't really need him for the beginning of the season. They need him more so going into the stretch run. solidifying that rotation going into the playoffs. So he's going to be a big and major piece, a big and versatile piece for the Boston Celtics going in, and Malcolm Brogdon as well. And talk about getting Gallo. They got the Italian stallion off waivers. They basically got him for free, man. I mean, Gallo, he's a knockdown shooter when open. 38% from the floor, 38% from distance last year in Atlanta, especially for much of his career. He's been a reliable stretch four. We know that. Can maybe play some small ball 5 and some really small lineups, 6'10". We know he can post up as well. He can play against those smaller guards. And he can basically play with anyone in their front court. So Gallo is an excellent complement to Boston's system, to how they play, and he could complement those guys a lot. When we talk about Malcolm Brogdon as well, the Celtics, what are they getting? They're getting a starting caliber guard to come off the bench. And you can't go wrong with that at all. Now, you see them try to go getting a starting caliber point guard off the bench last year when they kind of picked up Schroeder. But maybe I kind of didn't like how that union, how that pairing kind of went down. I expected a little bit more from Schroeder last year. When I'm looking at what Brogdon's going to bring to the table, I think he's going to be excellent. I think he's a phenomenal signing. I think he's a phenomenal pairing also with the rest of the Boston Celtics guards, because obviously right now who they starting with at point guard, they're starting Marcus Smart. We know he's not a pure, surefire point guard. He's not a natural facilitator. So Malcolm Brogdon, he's more of a combo guard as well, but he's more of a facilitator than Marcus Smart, and they can play with each other and they can also play without each other. So I think it's going to be excellent for those two to really get their feet wet and really play together. It's going to maybe move Jaylen Brown more up to the 3 a little bit more, move JT up to the 4. Now you can play Horford and Robert Williams, switch off with them at the 5. I think it's going to be really great for them, man. And also, when you look at the Boston Celtics, how they played in the playoffs last year and also how they performed in the finals, they kind of struggled with turnovers last year, especially in the finals. So having another point guard, another playmaker of Brogdon's caliber is going to help the Celtics tremendously. So I got to say, A+ off season for the Boston Celtics to me. I got to say, they definitely top 3 in the off season. And I might say they might have are close to having some of the beating one of the teams having the best offseason of the summer. So they got to give them some loves. And I'm always of the mindset of retooling rather than rebuilding. So, and I feel like that's what the Celtics did more so coming off that finals appearance. And I really like how they retooled this offseason. And I think they're in for a big year next year. So, good job on the Celtics in their front office. Moving on. The Philadelphia 76ers. Now, if the Celtics were A+ in their offseason, the Philadelphia 76ers are A+ also in their offseason, because I love their offseason just as much as I love the Celtics. I can't lie. They picked up DeAnthony Melton, PJ Tucker, Daniel House. Listen, these are the exact type of players that Philly needs. Melton and PJ are the exact type of players that they need. Both of those guys play with energy, and Daniel House too. They all 3 of them play with energy. They play with heart, and they play with hustle every single game, every single night. And those are the type of players that Philly needs around Joel Embiid, around James Harden, around Tobias Harris. They're going to need guys that can hustle, guys that are going to bring that energy, guys that are going to play hard, and guys who are not going to be emotional when Doc Rivers is yelling at them. Because we know Doc Rivers, we know he going to get hoarse. We know he needs the halls every play, every game, every time out. Doc Rivers is going to need that. So he needs players that are dogs also, and who are not afraid to be yelled at. And we know PJ Tucker, he's not afraid to be yelled at, and he's not afraid also to do the yelling. So you gotta give some love with PJ there. He's going to be so important for Philly this year. And we look at Philly last year, how they played. They had a tendency, in my opinion, to play a little bit lazy last year. So I love what these guys are bringing to the table. Like I said, that energy and that hustle that they're bringing. Melton, a.k.a. Twin, he could play with or without Harden. He could play with or without Maxey, a combo guard. He could come off the bench. He could start. He could do it all for you. So Melton is a phenomenal pickup from the Grizzlies. He was a major piece in the bench unit and the surrounding role players around John Moran, around Triple Dre and the Grizzlies, and why the Grizzlies had such a great record when John Moran was out. So Melton, excellent pickup. I don't feel like I have to say too much about what PJ brings to the table, but we all know what PJ brings to the table. That's a dog right there. He's bringing that winning mentality, that winning play at the power forward position, at the center position. He could play some three. PJ brings it all. And most importantly, what PJ does in addition to what he's bringing to the 76ers, is that he's weakening one of their most important rivals. Where is PJ Tucker coming from? The Miami Heat. Who's the team that took Philly out? The Miami Heat. Look at that. So one of their major components is now weakened. And if you look at the Heat, I'm not even going to talk about them this episode, because you know why? They didn't do a damn thing in free agency. Not one move the Miami Heat did. Pat Riley, I'm a little worried about them guys, but I think a lot of the summer is not the summer's not over yet, so it's still a little TBD. So they still have time to make some moves. We know they're linked to a lot of players, but as far as it goes right now, PJ Tucker is gone. They're gonna miss a lot of what PJ Tucker brings to the table. So I'm a little worried about the Heat in that aspect, but one team's loss is another team's game. And the 76ers, they're really, really going to benefit from having PJ on their team. So I really like how they solidified that rotation. I like, and they got another guy with Matisse Thybulle who they can also throw in. Is a solid defender as well. Now, they don't really have a backup center. Last year, who was their backup center? I believe this was DeAndre, right? I believe it was DeAndre Jordan last year. Who else they had? I'm forgetting who their backup center was. Was it Drummond, DeAndre Jordan? I don't remember who it is, but whatever. I don't believe that they replaced any of their backup centers. So unless they're planning on using PJ Tucker for their backup center role, but that can and that can't work depending on who you're playing in the East. But excellent season for the Philadelphia 76ers. They also re-signed Harden for $68 million for over 2 seasons. He has a player option in the second season, so he can still bounce at the end of the year, or he could negotiate another extension if he wants to. And I think Philly, with these moves, House, PJ, Melton, probably another backup center maybe to come soon, I feel like Philly has really and truly vaulted themselves into the upper echelon of the NBA with these moves. I really like what they did this offseason. I really like what they brought to the table this offseason. I love what the pieces that they put around James Harden, around Joel Embiid. Not just in the fact of terms of on the court play, but also great locker room guys too. Melton, great locker room guy. PJ, obviously, he's a locker room guy, great locker room leader. And Daniel House, he's a great soldier for the squad. So I love what the 76ers are doing. And I don't care about big, flashy moves. I like moves with substance. So moves like this are moves with substance. Not big, flashy names. You just need a couple of players who fit your system, plug in holes, and that's what the 76ers did. So I really love what they're doing. So look out for them next year. They are very, very high on my list on the Eastern Conference next year. Moving on, another Eastern Conference team. Damn, I'm talking about the East a lot. Yeah, another East splash. The Atlanta Hawks, man. Listen, another team high on my list. I love what the Hawks did this offseason. They're one of my major winners of the offseason. I love what they did. Their big splash, their big move of the offseason is obviously adding DeJounte Murray to solidify that backcourt with Trae Young. They added both the Holiday brothers, Frank Kaminsky, Mo Harkless, AJ Griffin, they drafted too, without really giving up any of the major core pieces. Gallo obviously is gone. I say he went to the Celtics. And they lost the Red Mamba, Kevin Huerter. So that may be a little bit of a piece, but they can replace him and they have replaced him. So I don't think he'll be too much of a loss. But let's talk about the additions for the Atlanta Hawks. Like I said, love it. I love the Hawks going for a splash. I love the Hawks going for a great move. So let's talk about Murray and how he fits, because I love the fit and I love the backcourt pairing between him and Trae Young. People don't realize now that the Hawks now have 2 of the top 5 assist leaders last year. 2 of the top 5, Trae Young and DeJounte Murray. They both in the top 5 of assists per game last year, and I believe in total assists as well. So I think he can be, because of that, I think he could be the perfect partner for Trae Young. DeJounte last year playing for the Spurs, he averaged 21, 9, and 8. 2 steals. All-star caliber season for DeJounte Murray. So he had an excellent year coming off of basically a career year last year, and now moving on to another team where he can showcase his skills a lot more and be unleashed a little bit, because I think he's going to have a lot more leeway, a lot more freedom to make a lot more decisions out there in the Hawks offense. And I think it's going to work out well for them. He's a great compliment offensively and defensively going against Trae Young. So I really like that. And when you look at it, Murray, he's got to be the best player that Trae Young has played with in his career thus far. Got to be. Because the last all-star, not even all-star caliber players, literally the last players that Trae Young has played with that were all-stars in their careers are Vince Carter and Jeff Teague. Old Vince Carter and a Jeff Teague who was a shell of himself by the time he played with Trae Young. He wasn't an all-star Jeff Teague. So DeJounte Murray, he is the best player that Trae Young has played next to him in his career. So Murray's prowess as a defensive playmaker, his career, like I said, I believe he led the league in steals last year, or was at least top 3 in steals last year. So he's an excellent on-ball defender, excellent off-ball defender. He can take the best perimeter defender. And then also, to complement him also as well, they got DeAndre Hunter also on the wing, who's an excellent perimeter defender. Got Clint Capella, rim running, shot blocking center. Got my boy Onyeka Okongwu coming off the bench. Y'all like how I said that, right? Coming off the bench, backing up Clint Capella, also man in that middle. Who else? John Collins. They still got John Collins. He's slept on right now. John Collins, I forgot he was on the team. A lot of people were talking about him getting moved. He didn't get moved, so he's still on the squad. He's going to be starting. So they're going to be rolling out a starting lineup of Trae Young, Murray, DeAndre Hunter, John Collins, Clint Capella. Coming off the bench, Okongwu, Bogey. Who else? AJ Griffin, probably their rookies coming off the bench. Who else is on there? The Holiday brothers, like I named. Frank Kaminsky from the Suns. They picked up a couple of pieces. Mo Harkless, like I said before. They got a couple of wings on the bench. They got a couple of pieces to solidify that roster, especially around Trae Young. We obviously know he's definitely a top 15, top 20 player in the league. Trae Young, we know he's going to be bigger and better next year. Another year under his belt, another playoffs under his belt. So the Hawks, I believe they were bottom 5 in defensive rating as a team last year. I think they were 26 or something like that. So he's going to help them big time. And Atlanta's, their offense, their offense, they created and really played poorly against the Miami Heat because everyone was loading up on Trae Young. We saw how the Miami Heat was defending him. They really were putting 2 and 3 bodies going after Trae Young every position, and they couldn't exploit the double teaming or the triple teaming or the closing out, the aggressive closeouts the Heat were doing because no one could help Trae Young really create his own shot, really put a real stamp on that playoff series other than him. So nobody was able to cheat off the wing. So basically, it was very easy to load up on Trae Young and very easy to defend that Atlanta Hawks team. So I think with Murray coming on board, they have that secondary playmaker who's also been a first option before. And I think he's going to do wonders for them. And the Hawks are another team. How am I listening to East? I think they slipped on in the East right now. I saw the ESPN power rankings, the other people's power rankings. It wasn't, the Hawks weren't high enough. They were, I believe, somewhere between 6 and 10, 7 and 10. I think they're going to be higher than that. But we'll see how, exactly how the Hawks shape up, exactly how the Hawks solidify that roster a little bit more going forward. But I think they're going to be excellent. So that's the Hawks, man. Another splash this offseason. The Minnesota Timberwolves I got to talk about. Now, they made a hell of a splash this offseason as well. The first Western Conference team I'm talking about in this in free agency. They played a premium for Rudy Gobert this offseason. Now listen, family, not gonna lie to you, I didn't even have a reaction to it when it first happened. I just was, huh? And also very unfazed by this move, right? But a couple of weeks later, a couple of months later, I started looking back at it. And I'm starting to change my tune a little bit, family. I'm not going to lie. I keep it honest, man. I'm starting to change my tune a little bit. I'm starting to like the move a little bit more for the T-Wolves. Now, I'm starting to like this Twin Tower approach. And let me tell you why. I'm thinking, my mind is envisioning it, right? I'm looking at this pairing right now. On paper, Rudy, Cat, I feel like they can complement each other on the floor a lot better than people are assuming, and a lot better than people are giving them credit for. Both two smart players. Obviously, Rudy Gobert is a smart defensive player, been one of the best defensive players in the league. Cat has been a, solid defensive piece. He's been trying to be a center or trying to grow into a center, but he's obviously been playing out of position. We know Cat can get bodied down there in the middle a lot playing center when he's playing against those big boys. So he's not a center. They tried to tell everyone he was a center last year just because he's tall, but just because he's tall does not mean you're a center, all right? So I'm actually glad that the T-Wolves have come to their senses and said, damn, let me try to put a big man next to him to alleviate a lot of the big man duties and alleviate a lot of the big man pressure away from Cat so he can be his best self. And I think we're going to see Cat become his best self this year next to Rudy Gobert. Now, they also picked up Kyle Anderson from the Grizzlies, also picked up Austin Rivers as well to solidify that rotation. Last season, the Timberwolves had a tough time defending the perimeter. They had a tough time defending the paint as well. They had a, kind of an average defense last year. They ranked 13th in the league last year in defensive rating. So pretty middle of the pack, but they can excel. They can be better on that end because they had Patrick Beverley last year. They had Vanderbilt. They had a few defenders, but now they don't have those guys. So they're going to have to rely on not necessarily their perimeter defense, but more so on their interior defense now with Rudy Gobert. So now their mentality and the philosophy on defense kind of changes a little bit with Rudy. So I think he can really back up Cat a lot. I really think he can help alleviate the pressure from Cat that he has to grab 10 rebounds, that he has to grab 15 rebounds. And I think it also alleviates a lot of the pressure from Ant Edwards too, also on the perimeter and D-Lo, that, they can have some leeway to press up on those guards, press up on those perimeter guards that they're defending, because you got the big boy Rudy back there defending the basket, defending the paint, and he can clean up a lot of their mistakes. So we'll see how that goes going forward. And as far as that goes, I think it's going to help Ant Edwards take another leap this year, and I think it's going to kind of push him towards top 5 shooting guard status. I think Anthony Edwards, he's going to take another leap forward this year with maybe Rudy Gobert can help him out a little bit, like defensively. Not really offensively. It's not really going to have any influence on that. And Edwards, man, it's going to be his team going forward from next year going on. He's got all the tools to succeed. He got the mentality. He's got the heart. He got the hustle. He got the game. He's got everything. He's got all the tools to succeed. And last year during the playoffs, he finally got his feet wet. And I think actually the T-Wolves might be a little slept on, man. I'm expecting them to make the playoffs again next year, and we'll see. Because if they traded this much for Rudy Gobert, they better make the playoffs. They better make the playoffs. So I'm really interested in seeing what the T-Wolves are going to be, what they're going to look like moving forward, and what they're going to be moving forward. So keep an eye out for the T-Wolves, man. I like the approach they're going to. So we'll check them out. Let's talk about another Western Conference team that's made a splash this offseason. It's the LA Clippers, man. They picked up John Wall, and I'm very happy about this move. I got to give them a shout out. It looks like the Clippers, they have been trying to get John Wall for about 2 years now. Everyone who listens to the show or talks to me on a regular basis, they know I'm a John Wall guy. So I'm very, very, very happy about this move. I'm happy John Wall has finally gotten to a team, and I'm happy that it's the Clippers because I feel like he fits in very, very well with this roster, with this lineup. And me personally, I know John Wall has plenty more in the tank to contribute. Now, we know he hasn't played a game in damn near 2 years now, but he still fills an important need for the LA Clippers. Last year they struggled a lot on the perimeter in terms of playmaking. We know obviously Kawhi was out for the whole year. Paul George was out for a good portion of the year. He was in and out of the lineup. He came back. He was out again. And they relied heavily on a lot of Reggie Jackson. So this year, they can't rely so heavily on Reggie Jackson to be their primary facilitator, their only facilitator. Obviously, he's supposed to be he's a very good complementary piece. So they're looking for John Wall to come right in, solidify that roster, solidify that offense, and really have a guy in there that Kawhi Leonard, that Paul George can really trust at the point of attack, and really have a guy that they can trust to really put them in their right spots, tell them where they need to be, tell them when they off rotations, all of that. So hopefully, and I'm thinking John Wall can be that guy because he is coming in there with a little bit of little bit of a cachet, you know, a little bit of a a little bit of a presence, I should say, who he can be able to tell Kawhi or PG, you know, somebody like, hey, fella, I need you to get in these spots. This is what we should do. This is what I think we can improve on, you know. So I'm really looking forward to see bounce back John Wall this year. And I think he's going to look well. And obviously, Kawhi coming back, Paul George coming back now, healthy and ready to go. This team is looking very, very deep. I know they have been the Clippers have been the sneaky, sexy media pick of the summer to be the favorite, you know, and I like them. I like what I'm seeing from them. I like their roster. You know, I personally, I want to see the cohesion of the roster before I give them all that credit that the media is giving them. A lot of people in the media are calling them the number 1, number 2 team going into the Western Conference final, going into the Western Conference. I'm not sure yet. I still got to see, you know, how their team looks and how the cohesion looks. But I like it, though. I want to see how Kawhi looks as well, how healthy he is. We've been hearing that he's very healthy this year. What type of offense are they running? Who's starting? I need to see all of that. I need to see what type of look Ty Lue is going. And, you know, since, like I said, they have been the little sexy summer pick, you know, are they becoming a little overrated? I don't know. We'll see. You know, that remains to be seen, you know, but the Clippers are getting a lot of hype this offseason, like I said. And I don't know. I think maybe why I'm not so crazy about them is I'm not crazy about the center position. Or if you look at this center rotation right now, only people on the roster are Zubac and Moses Brown. Now, those are not two high-quality elite center. Now, Zubac, he could get you some minutes. He could get you a little 10 and 10. He could get you a little 8 and 12, whatever the case may be. But he can be played out off the floor in the playoffs. And, you know, he can have some deficiencies from time to time. I mean, it's Zubac. We're not talking about an elite center right now. Let's be real. But he's solid. So he can be solid for them. But we'll see. Center rotation, they could still pick up somebody. The summer, I said before, is very TBD. So we're going to see how they really round out that center rotation and really round out the rest of the roster. So, but I love them on the perimeter. I love their perimeter guards. I love their perimeter rotation. So, and I know their perimeter defense will be a force to be reckoned with this season. Moving on, let's jump back into the East, man. We got to talk about them Knicks. Let's talk about the Knicks, family. You know, I got a lot of people who listen to the show. They talk about the Knicks. They love the Knicks. They watch their Knicks. They're faithful to their Knicks. And they're a little perturbed, I guess, by this offseason. They don't know how to feel. I notice a lot of Knicks fans, they don't know how to feel this summer. Some of them really like the moves. Some of them are not crazy about the moves. Some of them are really on the moves. But let's talk about it. You know, I mean, it's still early. It's still all of the moves on paper. The roster's not fully solidified yet, even though they made some moves. They've involved in a few things this summer. So what I do like to hear is that the Knicks are actually involved in moves and are trying to make moves. So that right there is already a step in the right direction for the Knicks. I'll tell you that. So for this summer, they had a solid summer. Picked up Jalen Brunson. They stole Jalen Brunson basically from the Mavs. That was their move of the summer. Picking up Isaiah Hartenstein too from the Clippers, weakening them their center rotation. And listen, let's talk about Jalen Brunson. I like the move. I know a lot of people are saying that it was a major overpay. Some people are saying it was an overpay. But in order to steal a player from another team that is actually better than yours, you got to give up some shit. Let's be honest. You have to give up something in order to steal a player from a team that's better than yours. Let's be real. And what did they give up? They gave up money and they promised him a bigger increased role. Those are usually the two things that you have to give up if you want to make your team better by taking a player from another team who was better. You have to give them a reason to come over. And I think that the Knicks did that. They had to do that. So all the people who were saying it was an overpay, listen, sometimes you got to overpay to get talent, to get people to come to your team. It's just the way it works. That's just the name of the game. That's just the way of the industry. Now, when we talk about Brunson, now is he an elite point guard? Me personally, I don't think he's an elite point guard yet. But I think he has the potential to grow into one with time, with reps, with him seeing that the Knicks being his own team. I think there's a possibility he can grow into one, especially in this upcoming season. Now, we looked at him in the playoffs last year. Brunson was phenomenal in the playoffs last year, playing with and without Luka. They beat the Jazz damn near without Luka. They played the Suns. They beat the Suns with Luka, but Jalen Brunson was a major factor in that series, and he was excellent. Last year, the whole year, he averaged a career-high 16 points per game. So you got to give him credit. He stepped up playing next to a ball-dominant guard and Luka Doncic. He played excellent next to him. So him with more reps, with more touches, playing next to Randall, playing next to RJ Barrett, I think he has an opportunity to succeed and an opportunity to really flourish with this Knicks squad and really be who he is. Play great defense, have some opportunities on offense. He'd be given a chance to run the show. So I think he actually is going to be solid for the Knicks this year. Now, the problem with the Knicks is that the rest of the East is very competitive. So the problem isn't if the Knicks got better, is if they got good enough to be better than the rest of the teams in the East. Now that's gonna remain to be seen, obviously, but I think Brunson is a step in the right direction. So all these people that, hating on the Knicks moves, I'm not mad at it. I like it. I like teams that take a step in the right direction, and I can confidently say I feel like they got better. You know what I'm saying? A lot of teams overachieve, some teams underachieve, but we'll see. They're picking up Hartenstein, like I said, too. He's a solid pickup in the center rotation. Knicks got another big man who can defend, who can shoot, who can rebound, who can finish. So Knicks making moves, man, like I said. But now the very important question is, since the summer I said is not done yet, the summer is still TBD. We see who they're being linked to. Is Donovan Mitchell. Are they going to get Donovan Mitchell? Are they going to give up the required pieces? Are they going to give up the required assets to get in order to acquire Donovan Mitchell? Now, we know the Jazz are asking for a lot. Danny Ainge, he's really picky. He really wants a lot from the Knicks for Donovan Mitchell. And it's really up to the Knicks really to find out, how bad do you want this guy? How much do you want this guy? I'm going to be honest, Knicks. How much do you want him? Leon Rose, I'm talking to you. Triple W, Worldwide West, I'm talking to y'all fellas. How bad do you want Donovan Mitchell in the Big Apple? Because I tell you right now, with him being here, he could raise your ceiling tremendously, immensely. Now, it also depends, what are you willing to give up for Donovan Mitchell? That's going to be the key. Now, I know the Knicks don't want to give up RJ Barrett, but if the Jazz ask for RJ Barrett, are you willing to give that up? Now, that may be a little tough. Now, that if the Knicks were to trade RJ Barrett somewhere in that deal for Donovan Mitchell, I feel like the Knicks fan base will be completely split down the middle. And I think it might be war. Knicks Twitter is kind of wild. I got a lot of people in Knicks Twitter that I talk to that I associate with. I'm out here in New York. I'm very close to the Knicks, close to the Nets, close to a lot of the fans for both teams. And man, I'm not going to lie. The Knicks fan base will be very upset if they trade RJ Barrett. Is he worth RJ Barrett? They're very close in age. I forgot the age difference right now. I believe it's a year or two age difference. RJ Barrett's is probably 3 or 4 points off the average, or maybe a little bit, maybe around 5 points off the average. I don't have the numbers in front of me, off of Donovan Mitchell. So similar talents. Donovan Mitchell can score a lot better. RJ Barrett is a better defender. RJ Barrett is younger. He's got a lot more years to grow, a lot more years to groom. Donovan Mitchell also, he's not old. So, both, it's a tough choice. So there's pros and cons to gaining Mitchell, to giving up RJ. But ideally, the Knicks would not have to give up RJ Barrett. But in turn, you're going to have to give up a boatload of picks, a plethora of picks. So, the Knicks are notorious for giving up all their picks. And even they're notorious for having picks and not doing good with them. So, you never know. They might need to give up those picks. And if there's an opportunity to get Donovan Mitchell without giving up too much, I'm doing that deal 10 times out of 10. So, Knicks, if you have the opportunity, you've been linked to him, he says he wants to come here, pull out all stops and try to get Donovan Mitchell. And even if they don't get Donovan Mitchell, I still think the Knicks had a solid summer with or without Donovan Mitchell, but we'll see if they can pull that trade off. We'll see what happens if they get them, because it could really raise their ceiling if they do, if they can acquire Donovan Mitchell. So that'll be interesting. And on the Jalen Brunson side as well, did the Mavs take a step back by losing Jalen Brunson? I kind of think they did a little bit. It's kind of a yes and no answer, because if you look at the Mavs, they lost Brunson, but they picked up JaVale McGee. They picked up Christian Wood. And I think they got better, but did they really get better? And if they did get better, how much did they get better? I feel like they're just kind of different, not necessarily better. You know what I'm saying? Now, if Luka can stay healthy for a full year, then, then it should be no step back or no setback at all, because he's one of the few guys who can really dominate and control an entire game from start to finish with the ball in his hands. He's big enough, he's strong enough, he plays at his own pace, and he's one of those guards that can actually do that. So if Luka is healthy, then it minimizes the loss of Brunson because they do have Spencer Dinwiddie still there, and they just necessarily got bigger in the Western Conference, which may not be necessarily a bad thing. But if he's not healthy, then it becomes you relying on Spencer Dinwiddie a little bit more for ball handling duties, and which takes away a little bit from Spencer scoring. So other than those two, they don't really have much more playmakers on the team. And who else? Can't really rely on McGee. He's a complimentary piece. Christian Wood is going to be solid. So we'll see how the Mavericks end up, and we'll see if they got better or if they got worse going into next season. We'll see. So let's talk about another Western Conference team that made a splash this offseason. We're talking about the Portland Trail Blazers. They had to upgrade basically from last year in some way, shape, or form than the team they had last year. And I feel like they did upgrade. How much of an upgrade they did, that remains to be seen. You know, some really good additions for the Blazers, in my opinion. You know, they picked up Jeremy Grant. They scooped up Gary Payton II from Golden State. And I like it. I like the moves that they did. Portland gets a really, really good perimeter defender, to put with a guard that desperately needed a perimeter defender. Gary Payton II, he will fit in nicely this year next to Anthony Simons, next to Damian Lillard. And he's going to really create a nice 3-guard rotation for the Portland Trail Blazers. And he's obviously a great defensive guard as well. Shot 36% from 3 last year, so hopefully that carries over into the season. That's going to be nice for him. Also picking up Jeremy Grant, like I said before, he has the length that the Blazers didn't have last year that they need, actually. And he's one of the best isolation defenders in the league. Jeremy Grant, he can thrive a little bit in this role, in a more prominent role, playing the 4. He should be, in my opinion, a second or third leading scorer this year, going into next year, And we'll see, because he was looking for a more increased role, and that's what he got. So we'll see if he can capitalize on that. And then I'm going to be honest, though. I'm looking at this Blazers roster. I'm looking at this Blazers squad. I still feel like they're putting a little bit too much stock in Anthony Simons. I could be wrong. I could be wrong going into the season, but hey, now he is talented. Don't get me wrong. Not taking anything away from him, but he increased his scoring in a kind of a throwaway year when winning wasn't really the primary goal for the Blazers last year. Like I said, I'm not taking anything away from him, but I still want to see if that production can really translate into next year while being a full starter next to Dame. So now, if he's coming off the bench, I'm not sure, then I don't mind at all. But I believe he's starting. I believe they're going to make him start next to Dame. So he's kind of a small guard as well. He's 6'1", 6'2", next to Dame Lillard. He's also 6'2" as well. So kind of a small backcourt. You got Josh Hart there, the 3. He's really a 2, but he's going to be playing the 3. So like I said, Simons, he bumped up his scoring last year all the way to 17 points per game last year. But he was getting all the touches. Dame was out. Nobody was taking the ball away from him. So let's see if that production can translate into this season. And the most important thing for the Blazers, a healthy Dame going into the season. Now, we know he's going to be ready to ball this year, but I think he needs to challenge himself a little bit going into this year also as well, Damian Lillard. Now, we all know he's a great scorer. We all know he's a phenomenal offensive player, but I'm challenging him. I think everybody needs to challenge him. I think he should challenge himself, I should say, to be a better all-around point guard this season, as opposed to just an elite offensive threat. That accounts for making his teammates better, upping his playmaking, upping his assists, and also, more importantly, taking on the defensive challenge. I need to see Dame Lillard really defending the opposing team's best point guard, the opposing team's best shooting guard, whoever he wants to guard. It doesn't matter to me, but just taking the challenge and really taking the defensive responsibility to step up. And that also shows leadership as well. So I'm expecting big things from Dame. I'm expecting big things from the Blazers. And if anything, I'm expecting an improvement from last year. So we'll see how that shakes out, and I'm looking forward to seeing what the Blazers put forth on the court going into next season. Another Western Conference team that also made a splash is the Denver Nuggets, man. A lot of teams made some splashes, low-key. The Nuggets picked up Bruce Brown, picked up KCP, picked up DeAndre Jordan, and it picked up my man Ish Smith. Now, they had a sneaky off-season. Now, those are not big, sexy names, that are really big splash, but, they complementary pieces. And those pieces are in addition to basically their free agency, which was getting their injured players back. They're getting Jamal Murray back. They're getting Michael Porter Jr. back. So that's basically, how much is that? 6 new players that the Nuggets are going to be incorporating into their lineup going to next season. That's Bruce Brown, who I really like, KCP, E. Smith, DeAndre Jordan, and getting back Jamal Murray, Michael Porter Jr. KCP is a solid pickup. You know, he's an energy guy. He can shoot. He can play some defense. Bruce Brown, I think, is a sneaky good pickup from the Nets. He can shoot. He can play some defense, energy, hustle. He's going to be great. Does the little things on the floor that they need. And listen, we are really going to see what this team is made of this year, because a lot of people who project them to be so high next season, very high next season, are really banking on Michael Porter Jr. and they're really banking on Jamal Murray to be the same as before. Now, the jury's still out if they're going to be the same players from the bubble, or if they're going to, still need time to work into their form. So we're going to see, and the jury's still out on them. But as far as the summer goes, as far as free agency goes, I like what the Nuggets did. So shout out to them. Good moves. Some more smaller moves that have been made in the offseason. Otto Porter Jr. went to the Raptors on a 2-year deal. Good solid deal for them. Malik Monk went to the Kings on a 2-year deal. Kevin Huerter also went there also. Solid building blocks for the Kings going forward with De'Aaron Fox, with Domantas Sabonis. One name to watch for in Sacramento, I would say Harrison Barnes. I think he's the one guy who I think that's going to be moved, or who maybe will be moved sooner rather than later for the Kings. And they also had a coaching change as well, going from Alvin Gentry to Mike Brown right now this year. So hopefully that's going to work out well. We'll see how they rock out. The Bulls re-signed Zach LaVine this summer. They brought in Andre Drummond. They brought in the Dragon also as well for some playmaking duties. So that's some solid pickups for the Bulls. We'll see how that helps them moving forward. The Golden State Warriors, they picked up Dante DiVincenzo. They picked up J. Michael Green as well from the Nuggets. So that's some more rotational pieces that can help them as well. Some heart, some hustle, some grind. The Bucks, they picked up Joe Ingles, which was a sneaky good move. I like Joe Ingles on the Bucks. He fits right into this system. And another team that I got to spend just a second or two more on, the Lakers. Let's talk about the Lakers real quick, fam. Let's talk about them real quick. Now, we saw they made the latest move this offseason. They picked up Patrick Beverley. I'm going to repeat that. The Lakers picked up Patrick Beverley. Who else do they have on their roster? Toscano, Troy Brown, Thomas Bryant. They picked up Lonnie Walker, Damian Jones, brought in Darvin Ham to coach the team. Listen, I don't even know where to start with this team, but I'm going to keep it a stack. The roster's still kind of weak. It's still kind of weak a little bit to me. Now, last year, the Lakers were lacking shooters, right? Any of those dudes that I just named, were any of them shooters? Not one of them. So did they really get better? Or are they just different? I said that about a few teams before. Now think about it. Did he really get better? They traded THT, one of their young pieces. Yes, we know THT, he had a down year last year. But the whole Lakers team had a down year last year. So nobody played up to par. So how do we know THT's play last year was just a product of the tumultuous season rather than him just regressing? He might not. THT is only, 21 years old? 22 years old? You traded a 21, 22-year-old that you paid money to, and you let Alex Caruso go for a guy who's older, a lot more volatile in the locker room, a louder voice. Now listen, we know Patrick Bev may want to win, but at what cost? Think about this. Now, I didn't even get to the and they also gave up Stanley Johnson, another young piece. Now, to me, getting Patrick Beverley I look at it as more of a lateral move to me. A lateral move at best, actually, if you're looking at me. Not to mention the potential, the chemistry issues. You bringing in Patrick Beverley when you still have Russell Westbrook on your team, that brings unnecessary outside drama, which didn't need to be. Now, everybody's talking about their relationship. Everybody's going to be focusing on their relationship if that's what you're planning to do, because we still don't know if they're planning to keep Russ or they're planning on moving Russ. Now everything looks up in the air with the Lakers, and they look like they're not sure of their clear direction right now, because I don't see how these two can really last a whole year playing with each other and it be harmony. I'm talking about harmony, family. Harmony with two guys actually like each other, who have legitimate NBA beef. I'm not gonna hold you. Patrick Beverly, Russell Westbrook, they got legitimate NBA beef. Let's be real. Let's keep it a stack. They got legitimate NBA beef. So, we could brush a lot of things to the side, but I don't know how much they could brush just to the side. And we'll see. I don't know if they could keep Russ. I don't know how long they keep Russ. Can they? Who knows? I mean, I'll tell you right now, that media day photo with Patrick Beverly and Russell Westbrook fake hugging each other on a photo op is going to be glorious. I can't wait to see that. I'm not going to lie. And what type of time is LeBron on this season? What type of time is he on? Is this end of career getting these milestones and stats, LeBron? Or is this, LeBron, I got to sacrifice everything or sacrifice a little in order to win this shit? Meaning I got to be the leader. I got to tell everybody to pipe down. I got to tell everybody to chill out. My team, let's follow this. Let's do it. I don't know what LeBron I'm going to get this year. Not going to lie. Because we know coming into the season, he's going for that all-time scoring leader record. So he's going for that. Now, there's going to be a lot of stuff going in the locker room. So let's see how they navigate it. What AD is going to look like. Is he going to step up this year? Is he going to be healthy enough this year to step up? And is he able to become that alpha on the floor that the Lakers need for him to progress? Because he should be the best player on the floor for the Los Angeles Lakers. We'll see if he knows that. We'll see if LeBron knows that. We'll see if Russ, Patrick Bev, Darvin Ham. Let's see anybody in the locker room knows who's supposed to be the best man on the floor in order for them to win, in order for them to succeed. And how's Russ going to readapt to the Lakers this year? Because he adapted last year. Now he's got to readapt to him adapting last year. And most importantly, is his heart in it? Is his heart in it this season? I don't know what's going on with Russ. There's a lot of stuff going on right now in that Laker locker room, in that Laker organization. So we'll see if Russ stay there, if Russ goes, we'll see how they are moving forward. And it's going to get sticky in LA. We know that. We know it's La Hollywood going out there. So we'll see how the Lakers stack up and going into the season and how their roster really shakes out. Because we know they're looking forward to trading or maybe trying to trade Russell Westbrook for Buddy Hield and for Miles Turner. So we'll see if they get that deal done. Also in the Western Conference, the Phoenix Suns re-signed DeAndre Ayton. Also picked up Damian Lee, Josh Okogie. Let me try to be nice using this word. Underwhelming offseason, I would say, for the Suns. In a couple of ways. But to me, it kind of feels a little incomplete. I feel like it's an incomplete offseason for the Phoenix Suns. Obviously, they didn't pull the trigger on the KD trade. We know that was supposed to be their big move of the summer. Even though it was KD's preferred destination to go to the Phoenix Suns. People who know me, people who listen to me, know I've been shouting out for KD to head to Suns. I thought it was going to happen. It was supposed to happen. You see, everything was lining up, but I don't know what happened at the end. I'm about to talk about the KD trade request coming up. It's a little annoying to me, but obviously that didn't happen. So the Suns need to move on. They need to pivot. Not everything happens the way you want it, but it's how you adjust. It's how you retool instead of rebuild keeps your championship fire going. So they made a move. Obviously, re-signing DeAndre Ayton. Got him on a little bit of a discount. But bringing this current roster back into next season, I'm not going to lie, I feel like they need to make a move. I'm not going to lie. I think they need to make a move. And I'm not going to hold you. A minor tweak is cool. I'm not asking for a big name move. I'm not asking for a big sexy move. They don't have to do anything major, something minor, but a minor tweak that's really going to move the needle, I think it's important for them. So a couple of names that I feel like they maybe need to go after, they maybe need to make to really solidify this offseason. Dennis Schroeder, I would love to see him in the Suns uniform. Eric Gordon, I would love to see them try to get him. Harrison Barnes, as I talked about before with the Sacramento Kings, he might be there. My guy Kemba Walker, I think could help them out tremendously. Who else? Rudy Gay, I think is another guy who could really help out the Suns at that 4 spot. Who else? Melo. I think Melo is another guy who could really help out the Suns in that 4 spot. So I think there's a couple of guys that the Suns can really go after, a couple of guys that the Suns really can utilize who are still on the market that, they can, that's a minor tweak. Nothing major, nothing extra, because they're still a 60-win or 50-something, 60-win team last year. And they can replicate that again. They just had a bad series against the Mavs. Let's be real. So a couple of minor tweaks, a couple of minor additions, so that they're not relying on Chris Paul as much. They're not relying on Devin Booker as much going into next season. I think will really help them. So Suns got to make another move, but I like what they did, keeping the core intact if they didn't get KD. But, that was a move I really wanted them to make. I'm still tired about that, but hey, it is what it is, right? Speaking of KD, let's talk about KD, man. The man of the summer, man of the hour, man of the couple weeks, man of the year, man of the decade, whatever you want to call the KD right now. My man held the summer hostage. I'm not going to hold you. I'm not going to lie. This is the first time I've said this probably ever, but man, KD, I was annoyed with you this summer. I'm not going to lie. Only reason I was annoyed is because it didn't go through. Now, when I say it was annoyed, I wasn't annoyed at you with the trade request. I'm not annoyed at you for how you were feeling about the team. I'm not mad at you for even wanting out. Not at all. I'm just mad at you. I'm not even mad. I'm just annoyed that the trade request was rescinded. If you're going to go forth with that trade request, my brother, make sure they get it done, man. I'm not mad at you for wanting to be out of Brooklyn at all. I'm not mad at you for wanting to find greener pastures. I feel like maybe the timing of the trade request could have been a little bit better. Maybe could have been handled a little bit better behind closed doors and maybe not so much of a spectacle. But I'm not mad at you for asking out. But man, I just wish it would have went through, because after going through all of this, now to me, I don't know what's going to happen going forward, because now everything needs to be as a backtrack now. Everything is a backtrack. Everything needs to be redone. Now, I understand you and Kyrie came here as a package deal. And now the Nets didn't want to ante up, give Kyrie his deal when it was time to pay him. I get all that. I understand all that. But after that trade request that you made, man, are you really going to be happy here this season? Are you really going to be happy after you made a trade request? After everybody knows that you wanted to leave, everybody knows that you wanted out, and now you're back here? Think about it. Let's be real about this. Come on, man. I mean, after you made that trade request, you can't just rescind it, bro. You're going to have to double, quadruple down. Make sure they get that deal done, because I'm looking at the situation like, I'm not going to lie, I don't think you're going to be happy. I just don't think it. I think you're going to play. I don't think you're going to be a problem or anything like that. But I don't think you're just going to be happy. I know, because if you had your wish, you would be in Phoenix, but this became basically, your trade request just became basically an ego standoff with the owner, with the GM, with the players. And how does this end? Where does this end? When does this end? You know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't like the way the season ended last year. It was an unnecessary sweep. It was a disrespectful sweep, if I'm being honest. You played decent. Kyrie could have played better. Nash stunk up the joint. Ben quit before he started, and it was just ugly last year. I hated the way the Nets went out last year, and it really pissed me off last season. Now this summer, the Nets are gonna have to do some damage control. They're doing damage control right now, making it seem like everything is okay, but we know it's not. We know it isn't. They picked up T.J. Warren, picked up Royce O'Neal, probably Markieff Morris. I believe they're about to pick up now. Solid additions, but let's be real. The issue with this team is gonna be chemistry. It's not going to be the roster. It's going to be chemistry. These boys don't want to be here. We know this. And eventually it's going to come to light. I'm just being honest. It's never good to start off a season with a dark cloud, right? It's never good to start off. Now, will KD stay after all? Will he stay this season? Will he stay long term? How does this rescinded trade request, affect the team and the organization going forward this season? Will this team even last the season? Will they even handle the whole season with this trade request hanging over their heads? I don't know. What happens to Steve Nash this year? I don't know. Listen, if you know anything about basketball, right? You would know that a team cannot win a championship without trust. They can't win a championship. No team in NBA history wins a championship without trust. Now, listen, it may not happen in the first week, may not happen in the first month, but it will happen. And there's going to come a time, when the team is going to have to make a huge decision in game, a lineup, strategy, adjustment on or off the floor, where everybody on the team doesn't see eye to eye, right? Teams with bad chemistry don't win titles. And then I'm not saying they have bad chemistry now. I'm just saying there's a possibility for bad chemistry with all of the details, with all of the factors coming into the season. And I know a lot of people bring up the Lakers with Kobe and Shaq as a team that really went to the promised land, that really won a championship with having bad cohesion and bad chemistry. But that team already won together. So they already knew what it took to win a championship. This Nets team right here does not know what it takes to win a title. They haven't won together. They may have won individually. Kyrie won individually. Kevin Durant won individually. Ben Simmons not really won a title, but he has some success in the league. But none of these guys have won it together, and they haven't been battle tested together as a unit. You need time. You need years. You need weeks. You need months to have the real chemistry and to be battle tested as a team. So to expect this team coming into the season with all this dark cloud around them, all this bad chemistry, all this bad juju around them, to actually go out and really win a title in the first year, that's a lot to ask, family. Think about it. That's a lot to ask, man. That's a lot to ask, man. And I know the guys in the locker room, they can overcome this, but when players and management don't see eye to eye, that can be a recipe for disaster. It can. And we know these guys, they haven't had enough time yet. Kevin Durant only played 90 games in 3 years. 90 games in 3 years, not even 100 games. Kyrie played just 103 games in 3 years. KD and Kyrie together only played in 58 games together in 3 years. Out of a possible 226 games, KD and Kyrie only played 58 games together. That's not enough. That's not enough. So we're going to see. Listen, I know KD thought his best fit was the Suns. I also thought his best fit was the Suns. It would have been nice to see him with that Suns roster. The Suns already led the league in mid-range field goal percentage. KD led the entire league in mid-range field goal percentage. Monty Williams would have been an excellent coach for KD. So I see why he wanted to go to the Suns. I see why he wanted to go there. I see why Kyrie wanted to go to the Lakers. Looking at this roster right now, they also knew there was going to be chemistry issues going into the season, and they know it. So they're smart. They know how it is. Now, can you really trust Ben Simmons? What a wild card that is. What is Ben Simmons right now? I don't know. I know he's trying to get fly. I know he's trying to go to the Tribeca Film Festival. I know he was trying to be seen on the bench in the playoffs last year. But what are you about to produce? What you finna give us, Ben Simmons? What are you gonna give us? Are you gonna give us maximum effort? Are you Philadelphia, Ben? Are you going to play some center? Are you going to play some point guard? Are you going to take over the offense? Are you going to be playing every game? Are you going to be out there on the floor? What are we getting from you? I would love to know. I'm waiting to know. So we're going to see how the Brooklyn Nets look going forward. We're going to see. We don't even know what they're going to look like training camp. The Nets, their whole roster, their whole organization right now out here in Brooklyn is a TBD. I don't know what's going on there. I should have called this episode TBD, matter of fact. But I'm going to call it Flea agency, but damn near TBD. I don't know what's going on with the Nets right now. So those are all of pretty much the major free agency signings that went on in the NBA this year. You know, there was a lot and a little that happened this year. It was a lot of hoopla, but not too much action. A lot of talking, not too much action. So we're going to see what shapes up leading into training camp. We got a couple of weeks left going in there. There's still a lot of people on the board that haven't been signed. Kemba Walker hasn't been signed. Melo hasn't been signed. Montrez hasn't been signed. There's a couple of guys that still have not been signed in the league that need deals. We're going to see how this shapes up, family. Holla at me. It's Flea agency. I know I'm talking shit, but it's Flea agency, man. Like I said, family, I appreciate you always rocking with me. I know there's been a couple of weeks I've been gone, but I'm back. We back in full effect. Best NBA part of the game is back. I'm here. Appreciate you as always. Keep supporting me. Keep shouting me out. Keep hollering at me on Twitter, Instagram, all of that good stuff. I appreciate you joining me once again for another episode. Thank you for keeping it locked in on this journey. Appreciate all the love. Appreciate all the support with the show, especially when I was out. Appreciate all of y'all reaching out to me. Bang with y'all. You know, make sure you hit me up on Twitter, IG, and Facebook. All your NBA takes. NBA season is coming soon. It's going to be here before you know it. I tell you that right now. Subscribe. Make sure you tell a friend to tell a friend. This is episode 185, family. And we out.